Instagram. Yes, wave. That's good. Oh, I've got to prop it up on the little dinosaur so that the microphone is able to hear. There we go. He's propped up on the little dinosaur there. And I think we're in reasonably good shape here. So, should we give it 3 minutes? I feel like if I was a university lecturer, I'd now insist on waiting the full 3 minutes so that nobody was late. But we can bring in the entertainment early. For those of you that have been wonderful enough to show up early, hello! You've met Dr. Chris. You've met Mini Chris. Now meet Baby Chris! There you go. How you doing? That's nice, isn't it? Well, you're a lot more fun to present with than the other one. You're doing more hiccuping and more gurgling, which is what I like. That's really good. Oh, well done. Now, look, that's the plan for today. You've scrumpled it up. Well, this is still less chaotic than having Big Dr. Chris here. No, don't pull out the cables. Don't pull out the cable. No. What's going on here? Don't put. Okay, that's good. You can. I'll tell you what. Play with the Jaguar skull. That's a nice thing to play with. We're going to talk about that today. So where are we at here? 2 minutes to go before we start. I'm going to say start as if it's suddenly going to get more professional than this. Hello. Now, do you want to stand up and show everyone how good you look in your scrubs? There you go. Look at that. Where is it? It does say Dr. Chris on these. Well done. Okay. Well, there you go. You've got a Jaguar jawbone. Oh, hello. What's going on there? The crumply paper's nice, isn't it? That's fun to play with. That's good. There's a pen there. I guess you don't take the lid off the pen. How you doing? How you doing? You okay? Now, what can we do? Any good baby facts? I tell you what, someone told me if you've got a baby, maybe a baby brother or sister, something like that. Someone told me what's really nice is babies need lots of stimulation when they're little to get their brains going. And I was speaking to someone who works on babies' brains and tries to make babies have a happy time developing. And the thing that she told me is that paying attention to your baby is good. Now, that sounds obvious, but the best toy for someone like Sasha is my face. So normally to interact with a baby, I'd keep my face about her focal length away, so sort of 30 centimetres or so. And your face has got rubbery bits and hard bits and hairy bits and smooth bits and squishy bits and slimy bits, and it makes noises and it does things when you poke at it. And so your face is actually a great toy for a baby, and babies often want to reach out and grab your face. So if you're dealing with a baby, just remember your face is a good toy and it'll stimulate them and keep them amused and keep their... You don't think my face is a good toy, you're not making my point. You just want to play with the crumply paper. Well, that's fun too. There you go, how about that? Is that good? You've got the hiccups. Why have you got the hiccups? Wait, what's the time now? It's 2:30. The numbers are skyrocketing. We're live on Instagram. We're live on Facebook. We've been live on YouTube. If you're just joining the feed now, I'm at Chris's house. Chris is in the hospital. We've got baby Chris. Hello. We've got baby Chris instead of Dr. Chris today. Because Chris is in the hospital. Chris is an infectious disease doctor. That's what he does for a living. And he seems to think there's a lot of work going on for him at the moment in the hospital. I can't think why. But anyway, he's left me in the lurch. So I'm running the technology. And to set it up beforehand, he's inadvertently put his house... Stop pulling on the cables! He had his whole house live on YouTube, I think maybe for about an hour now. So anyone who was enjoying watching what must have been quite boring, but you did hear Chris getting angry because he couldn't find his keys when he left the house. That was all authentic, improvised content. Okay, Sasha, I think you should say goodbye to everybody. Say goodbye! Okay, that's really good. Say goodbye, that's nice. And you're going to go off, Super Baby Chris! Whee! She was grabbed by Dinah. I didn't just throw her across the room. Bye-bye. So, it's very nice to see you all. I'm sorry Chris isn't here. We can do whatever we want. We can mess around. It can be total chaos. I can interrupt whenever I want. But actually, that's no fun, is it? If Chris isn't here, I don't really need to do any of that. I can just be serious and give you a formal medical lecture on poo. I won't be doing that. What we're going to talk about instead, I thought what we asked you to do was watch the episode of Do Try This at Home about poo, and I thought that would be a nice place to start thinking about the way that our poo is manufactured and what it does for us, and start the beginning of the journey of making poo, which starts with chewing. So, here now, before I do that, what I was going to do is see if I could find can I get the comments up? Oh no, mute. I need to mute that. Sorry. That's muted. Can I see the comments? The comments are not appearing for me. I'm so sorry. I can see the comments on Instagram. I'll do shout out to Sylvie from Derbyshire. That's great. I can't see the comments on Facebook. Perhaps they will appear. Perhaps they won't. If they don't, I can only say I'm sorry. I'm clicking refresh and then I'm going to not worry about it. Comments. I'm going to click on comments. Is it going to give me them? Please give me them. Does not want to give me them. Never mind. So, there we go. You can do this, son. Shout out to Florence. Royston here. Picture of an elephant looking rather attractive from Sarah. Mark says, yum. That's good. The comments are working. Everything is going well. So, poo and its manufacture. If you've just watched the Do Try, that's brilliant. There's lots of interesting stuff there about how your water gets absorbed from your poo. But I thought I'd start right at the beginning of the journey of making poo. What's the first thing you have to do to make it? Well, you have to put food in your mouth and chew it. So I have here a couple of skulls. We've shown you the skulls a bit over the last couple of weeks, but your skull just has a huge amount of complex anatomy, and comparing your skull to other animals is really, really helpful. So this is the skull of a dog. There's the mouth there. What I'm interested in is this ridge running down the back of the dog's head there. So big ridge there. And in fact, I have, as well as a dog skull, I have a cat skull here. Very big cat. This would be a skull from a jaguar, and I can't fit the jawbone in. There we go. So if you look at the back of the cat skull, there's the front, there's the mouth, there's where the eyes would be, and at the back of the cat skull, again, we see these blades of bone, these ridges of bone. Now, if you have a feel on your own head, you can't immediately feel that, right? And in fact, if you've got a cat or a dog and you feel their head, you don't feel like there's this looks more like a dinosaur, right? It's got this enormous ridge sitting on the back of its head. And if you have a cat or a dog and feel its head, it doesn't feel like that. So what's going on? What is that ridge for? Now, can anyone see? Can I shout out Oliver from Southampton? Yes, I can. Daniel from Basildon, I can shout that. What is poo made of? AD, we're going to get there. With poo, what does colour change indicate? We're going to get there as well. Will I eat the cricket? Yes. Somebody answer my question about the ridges. Does anyone know what the ridge is on the skull? It's too high for Facebook. I don't know what that is. It looks a bit blurry. Oh, this is frustrating. I can't help all of this. I'm sorry. I don't know. Is Julian baby? No. Chris's daughter's called Sasha. What I want to know is, what are the ridges on the skulls? Okay, so if you're thinking about to protect from predators, from Sophie, that's a lovely answer. My cat is called aggressive. Huh? So, have a think about that. The reason that dogs and cats have ridges on their skulls, in fact, you can find ridges in lots of places in your body, is that's where muscles attach. And so there's a big jaw muscle that comes up through, hang on, let me do it there, comes up through here, attaches to the, trying to do this reverse, attaches to the jawline here, comes up through there and goes all the way along. So the ridge is something to grab hold of. And what that allows the dog to do is bite extremely hard and hold on tight. And if you've been bitten hard by a dog, it's very painful. It can do a lot of damage because dogs have, and predators have, incredibly strong jaws. And you see the same thing with the cat. There's a ridge on the cat's jaw where the muscle attaches there, and then that ridge here allows that same muscle to reach down and pull the jaw shut. So that tells us, now there's another bit I can show you here. This is the jawbone from a large herbivore. If anyone wants to guess what herbivore it is, you can. And what I want to know is, why are there these big plates of bone here? Because the teeth aren't taking up that much room. Why not have a much smaller jaw? It's heavy carrying around all this bone. It's very expensive for the animal to make all this bone. So why do we have all this area here? In the meantime, the reason that we have this jaw is that we actually bought this jawbone in a musical instrument shop in Mexico, and can be used as a musical instrument because it vibrates. The bones are a little bit springy, and but they're tough enough that you can hit them quite hard, and then the teeth vibrate. So you get this rather pleasing percussion instrument, a bit like a tambourine, but made of a jawbone. And Bo Thomas is guessing that the animal is a horse, and in fact that's very close. It's a pony's jaw, but several people have guessed elephant. Now you might think, well, that's ridiculous. Of course Dr. Chris doesn't have an elephant's jawbone in his house. And if you were thinking that, well, you would be right that it is ridiculous, but you would be wrong that he doesn't have one, because actually he does. Hang on. Here we go. This is an elephant's jawbone, and as you can see, it is much bigger. Well, it's not that much bigger than the horse, but it's arranged differently, so the teeth are substantially larger if you compare the size of the teeth, and it's very, very much heavier. You know, this I can easily wave around with one hand. This, in fact, really, really weighs a lot, and it's engineered to do some very, very powerful chewing. You can see the teeth are arranged very differently to the dog and the cat. They're much less pointy and much more grindy because the elephant is eating plants and the dog and the cat are eating meat, and they need to kill their prey. So when we think about all those muscles, and the reason that the pony has this much area on its jawbone is so that the muscle can attach. The muscle can be very big. The muscle's got, if you like, a lot of places to grab onto, and it means that it can pull the jaw very powerfully and close it. So in fact, your jaw muscle, you can feel it if you clench your teeth and put your fingers there. You can see my fingers wiggling. That muscle's called masseter. It's not the strongest muscle in your body in terms of being able to lift the most weight, but for a small muscle, it is incredibly powerful. So in some ways, you can say it is the strongest muscle in your body because for a small muscle, it can exert a huge amount of force. But probably the most powerful muscle overall, because it's big, would be your gluteus maximus, which is your bum muscle. That helps you to stand up and walk and run and jump and so on. So why am I telling you all of this? Poo rocks! That's a great shout out on Instagram with just loads of poo emojis. That's brilliant. So why am I telling you all this about the muscles in the dog's head and the horse's head and the cat's head? Well, if you remember when we were talking about bone, muscles really change the way that bones develop. So you might remember that Chris was talking about the archers who had to pull the bows very hard, and as a result the bones in their shoulders develop differently. Those bones grow to give bigger muscles larger places to attach to. Similarly, as the dog is growing and learning to chew when it's a baby dog, as it's developing, the bones pull on the muscles pull on the bone, and the bone develops in response to the muscles pulling. Now, why is this important to you? You think, well, I don't have a big ridge on my head. If you feel that master muscle, if you then clench your jaw up here, you can feel that actually your muscle that's pulling your jaw closed here goes up and spreads like a massive fan all the way on the side of your head. Now that means if you're doing a lot of exams at school, perhaps if your grown-ups are at home worrying about the pandemic, worrying about money and jobs, and worrying about you and school and education and everything, try to calm down, don't panic. But if they're grinding their teeth and thinking, I gotta do all this work, that can give you a terrible headache that feels like your head's being pulled apart. Well, it is being pulled apart by the muscles being tense and exerting all this pressure on your head. A lot of people grind their teeth in their sleep at night when they're stressed. They can wake up with a headache from the same thing. So you've got these big muscles that help you chew that go all the way around the side of your head. So far, so good. But here's the thing. What you can tell from the way that our teeth and jaws are designed is that we were built to eat very, very chewy food. In the same way that a horse's teeth are designed to grind up plants and to tear them out of the ground, and a dog's teeth are designed to bite into animals and tear out flesh and be able to cut well. Our teeth are designed for a mixture of both, but we have very, very good what's called molar teeth, grinding teeth at the back. So our bodies are designed to do that. But nowadays, we don't tend to eat very much of that kind of food compared to the food that we would have eaten 1,000 years ago, well, even 100 years ago, but certainly 1,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, when a lot of our day would have been about gathering forest plants, nuts, roots, berries, and chewing them a lot to try and get some of the nutrition out of them. What is now clear, and there's some amazing research on this, is they did an experiment with an animal called a hyrax. Now, a hyrax looks a bit like a gopher, makes a noise a bit like something being strangled. It makes a terrible noise. They live in the mountains in Africa, and they're related to elephants. So it's quite an unusual and confusing animals. You may have seen them in wildlife documentaries where they're quite cute, and then they go, "Ah! Ah!" and they're making the most appalling noise. Anyway, the point is, some research was done on hyrax skulls, and they took some baby hyraxes and they fed them. They took some of them and they fed them a mushy, squidgy diet, the kind of thing that we sort of eat now. If you think lots of food comes out of packets, ready meals, baby food particularly is very, very mushy. If you order a takeaway, it's kind of soft and squidgy and mushy, whether it's fish and chips. Even if there's a bit of crunchiness to it, it's not like chewing a big pile of really crisp vegetables. It's not like eating a kilo of carrots. And so they fed some of the hyraxes mush, and then they fed others of the hyraxes a very hard, chewy diet. And what they found is their skulls developed really differently. So the hyraxes were allowed to live their lives, but when they died, they looked at their skulls and they found that in the hyraxes that had had the very chewy diet, their skulls had developed more, and in fact their jaws had grown more as well. Why does that matter to humans? Because as we've eaten a softer diet over the last few hundred years, but particularly over the last, over the last 50 years maybe, food is made more in factories. The factory kind of grinds it up and powders it a bit more and makes it softer. Our jaws have been exercised less as we're children, and that means our jaws grow a bit less, and so we get teeth. Oh, someone's saying I'm freezing a bit. Well, I don't know. Hi, Aisling. I don't know what I can do about the freezing. I'm sorry. I can only. Oh, hang on. There is something I can do about the freezing. Instagram. Wait for it. That should be better. Yes, the video has ended on Instagram, but it should be back now because I've switched to 4G, and hopefully that'll work. Instagram, I'll keep an eye on the comments. So, I hope everyone else is still connected, but that should have freed up a bit of Dr. Chris's Wi-Fi. So the point is, when these little animals were fed soft diets, their jaws didn't grow, their skulls developed very differently. And that's sort of the same thing to the way that humans have undergone over the last few decades, that we're eating softer food. And that may be why so many of us need things like braces or orthodontic work, that our teeth are a bit more crowded because we're not being fed very chewy, rough food. So that's the first big clue that our bodies have been designed and function best when we get lots of food we need to chew. So if you're having a meal that you could eat entirely with a spoon and spooning it down, it's fiddly, because I definitely don't want to. Everyone's trying to feed their family. Everyone needs to eat. Don't be in a panic about this. I'm really making a point about evolutionary biology. I'm definitely not criticizing anyone's parenting, because I and my son eat a lot of mush. But if you can eat chewy vegetables, and really when you're chewing a carrot, imagine that carrot or an apple or anything crunchy, all that is pulling on your skull, pulling on your jaw, strengthening those bones, giving your teeth space to grow, developing your head. And also it's probable that the rhythmic chewing helps send signals to your brain that slows down your eating and helps you eat a little bit more healthily. The other thing to say, we're going to talk more about this, I think, tomorrow, but the other thing to say is that there's, oh look, someone's sending an emoji of loads of vegetables. That is brilliant. Well, at least one person has paid attention. I don't know if you're going to eat them or whether you're just going to post the emoji. Posting the emoji is no substitute for eating your vegetables. So that's the first big clue that our bodies are designed for crunch, for chewing, nuts, fibre, whole grain breads, all those sorts of things. Even with meat, if you've got meat that you're having to sort of tear off the bone and wrestle with a bit, that's good. The next bit of the body that I want to talk about, we're going to go all the way down, mouth, throat, esophagus, stomach, Small intestine, now your stomach is where you clean food up and mush it up. Your small intestine is where you absorb a lot of the valuable stuff that you need. So you need fat, protein, carbohydrate, you need all the micronutrients like the vitamins and the minerals and all these things. Like you need iron, you need copper, you need all these things to get your body functioning. They get absorbed in your small intestine, and then the food gets into your large intestine. And if you watch the Do Try This at Home, that is where the water is absorbed so that you don't have diarrhea all the time. And some people have their colons removed. There are all kinds of reasons, and so those people do have much looser poo, much more watery poo, and in fact, if you remove any part of your digestive system, you often end up with watery poo. Perfectly manageable, nothing wrong with having that, but that's what your colon is designed to do. So the bit where the small intestine, which does the digesting, enters the large intestine is at the ileocecal valve. It's a little hole. So if you think of my guts, my stomach is, where is it? My stomach's here, sort of in the middle, gets bigger or smaller depending on if I've eaten. That exits into the small bowel, which is all the squiggly stuff it's sort of in the middle, if you imagine. That goes on a long journey, duodenum, jejunum, ileum, and then at the ileum, which is down here, there's a little hole, and it goes into the colon, colon goes ascending colon going up, transverse colon going across, descending colon going down, and then it wiggles around into your rectum and then out your bottom. So at this bit down here, where the small bowel goes into the large bowel, does anyone know, I mean, I don't know if I can manage to read all the comments, but does anybody know what organ or what little body part is tucked down there? I'll give you a clue. Sometimes it's painful. Some people have them removed in an operation. If it gets very painful or gets infected, can cause you problems. So if you've ever had a tummy ache down here and had to have an operation as a result, what might they have taken out? People are saying, why am I on my own? Because Dr. Chris is actually, we're both real doctors, but Dr. Chris still sees patients, and we need all the doctors we can get at the moment in this country. So he's in the hospital saving lives and being a massive hero, as he never fails to remind me. I mean, he's just being a doctor. He's getting paid. Let's not get too excited about it. Okay, Sambalina says appendix. Aoife says appendix. Elvis says appendix. Grace says appendix. Julianne says appendix. Richard says appendix. I'm sure some people on Facebook, sorry, those people are all on Insta. Can Angus have a shout out? Yes, Deborah says appendix. Catherine says appendix. Kirsty said, you look, the point is you're all doing an excellent job. Kate says gallbladder. Well, that's an excellent guess, and I like a bit of variety. Your gallbladder you're on the right side, can be painful, especially after meals. You might need to have it out, so it's an excellent guess. But in this case, I am talking about the appendix. Now, the appendix is famous because people think it's not very useful. What's the point in having an appendix? And indeed, if you've had your appendix out, and please shout out if you've had your appendix out, because that's a big deal. If you had your appendix out, if you've been alive 300 years ago when we weren't good at removing them, or even 150 years ago when we weren't good at removing them, you could have been in real trouble. And now usually it's quite a straightforward operation. It's such a simple operation. I've actually taken out someone's appendix. When I used to work 20 years ago when I was a younger doctor, I did a bit of work as a surgeon, because everyone has to do a bit of work as a surgeon, and I took one out. So if you've had your appendix out because you've had appendicitis, and remember, itis means inflammation, so you can get an infected, inflamed appendix, and that has to be taken out. You might be thinking, well, look, I walk around every day with no appendix and nothing bad happens to me. I can still drive a car, I can still dance, I could still be an astronaut. There's nothing bad about not having an appendix. Well, that's what we thought for years. It turns out that your appendix does this amazing job. It's a little bag of bacteria, and it dangles down from your colon, and it's a little bag of bacteria. And if you have a tummy bug, if you get diarrhea, if you have an infection in your gut, if you take antibiotics, you get terrible diarrhea, a lot of your good bacteria can be washed out. Your appendix is a little bag of good bacteria that sends them back out into the gut and repopulates your gut with good, happy bacteria. So actually the appendix is we're still learning about even these very simple bits of the human body, and the appendix is one of them. It's likely, particularly for people your age, that your appendix has also been very involved from when you were very young in teaching your immune system about food, because the appendix Someone wanted a shout out. Oh, well, anyway. It's gone. You all get a shout out. Your appendix is involved in teaching your immune system. If you think of putting food into your mouth, that's an amazing route for bugs and nasties to get into your body. Your immune system has to learn about what's food and what's bad and fight it off, but not stop you digesting food and not inflame your guts and all of these things. And so, Toby, you get a shout out. So, is it bad if you don't have appendix? I'm going to answer that question. And so, your appendix is involved in teaching your immune system how your gut should work and how it should deal with bacteria. Is it bad if you don't have an appendix? Well, they've looked at people without appendixes and nope, they live long and happy lives and it's fine. But they do take a little bit longer to get over tummy bugs. So it's not going to ruin your life. It's not a big deal. If you've had your appendix out, it's because you needed your appendix out, but sometimes they just whip the appendix out anyway if they're doing another operation, and probably we should start leaving them in and letting people have that little reservoir of good gut bacteria. So those are 2 clues, okay? 2 clues that your guts are designed your mouth and face are designed to chew, and that mostly involves eating lots of vegetables. That's one big clue, and you can tell that from the shape of the muscles, the shape of the jaw, what happens if you don't chew lots of vegetables, and by looking at other animals' skulls. And then the appendix tells us that gut bacteria are really important. And why are gut bacteria? What do we do to look after gut bacteria? We have to eat lots of fruit and vegetables. So the next time you are looking at a plate of food, if you just see that it's a lot of beige mush, you might think, look, could we throw a carrot on? Throw a bit of broccoli. You can have it as a separate course. If you can look up how to make a nice dressing on the internet, get your grown-ups involved and say, can we make the vegetables a little more special? You can do all kinds of things. You can add lemon juice, oil, mustard, all sorts of lovely things you can put on food to put on vegetables to make them more exciting. But have a look at that. They will feed your good gut bacteria. They will help your appendix, and they will strengthen your jaw and let your head develop properly. So, and how does that relate to poo? Well, that's all about the poo factory, isn't it? The other thing, there was something else I was going to say about poo. Can't remember. It'll come back to me. Oh yeah, the other thing is, I just learned the other day the name of the stuff in your guts that isn't really food, because you've eaten it, it's gone to your stomach. It's not food, like you wouldn't eat it, but it's also not poo yet, because it hasn't sort of come out your bottom, or it's not even about ready to do that. And that stuff is called digesta, spelt like digest with an A on the end of it. And so digesta is all the stuff that's sloshing about in your guts. And I've never known that, and I've always found it a bit annoying. You sort of have to go, the stuff that's almost poo, it's sort of halfway between food and poo, which is quite a strange journey to go on. Okay, daily chores for everybody. We've got 5 minutes left, and it's time to do some dino chores. So, yesterday we mentioned that you might want to put things in the sink or in the dishwasher, if you have a dishwasher, to help them get tidy. Now, the dino chores, the people wrote in and said that this revealed a lot of division and tension in their households. Everyone has a different way of doing the dishes. Some people run the water the whole time. Some people fill a plastic bucket. Some people fill the sink. Some people soak things. Some people don't. Some people like to do it all before they go to bed. Some people do it all in the morning. So every household is different. I'm not going to tell you how to do the dishes, as in like what the best way to do it is. I have my way. But once things are clean, if your grown-ups have done it, if you're tall enough and old enough to do it and you know how, then that's good. Do the washing up yourself. But once the washing up is done, there will always be clean items on the other side of the sink. Learn how to put things away. And putting things away as a chore is today's dino chore, because there are loads of things in a house. I remember as a kid that I just didn't know where they went. I'm like, I don't know what this thing is or what it does or which drawer it goes in. Well, it's your house. You can ask and go, where does this thing go? Why does it go here? Why do we put milk in that bit of the fridge? Why does this jug live on this shelf? There's not always a reason, but knowing where things go means that you can be a helpful person tidying up. And there are lots of things you do know where they go. Like, you probably know where your coats and shoes are meant to go. So generally putting things away is easy. Is it fun? I don't think I can sell it as fun, but you can have a conversation while you're doing it. You can listen to music while you're doing it. So that's the dino chore for today, is find something that you don't know where it goes in your house, ask your grown-ups where it goes, and then make sure that things are always put away. There you go. Can we have a shout out for Teddy? Yes, you can. Hi, Teddy. What else we can do? Okay, we got the exercises. Now, I don't think I can do them all today because I can't hold the cameras and do the exercises, but I'm sort of going to do an impersonation of them. So the first, I've also got to try and remember them. The first one is the dog weeing. So you're going to bend over and get that leg up like that. Now that is working all the muscles around your hip in a way that they don't normally have to work. So it's a nice one for balance, and it's a nice one for stretching, and it's a nice one for getting muscles all coordinated and working together, especially if you're sitting on your bottom all the time. So that's the first one. The next one is the squats. Look at that. It turns out some of us can do it without farting at all. Now, squats, if you have use of your legs and you're able to do them, squats are really good because they help you get out of a chair. And the day that you're too slow to get out of a chair, that's quite tough then. You need to live your life a bit differently. So really good to do some squats. You only need to bend your knees to 90 degrees. You don't need to go down and do them hard. And when you're doing these exercises, have a think about just do them nice and slow. Think about which muscles are working. Think about where you're getting sore, and think about how many you can do each day before you get tired, and you should be getting a little bit better. Okay, then we've got the snow angel and lifting. This is a nice one for balance. Try and do it slowly. And the thing that I love about this one, particularly if you've just done the squats, you'll notice how wobbly you are. It'll probably be harder for your grown-ups than for you because their balance may not be as good, but it's this bottom that gets sore. It's the one on the other side. And that tells you a lot about how your body walks. That in walking, you have to use this side of your body to lift this pelvis so you can swing that leg. So it helps you break down the movements and activate the muscles. Where do we go now? I can't remember the other ones. The bridge one. Okay, well, you're lying on the floor and lifting your bottom off the floor. I can't do it and stay on camera, but you'll remember that one. And that's a really nice one. Do it really gently, but that really activates your hamstrings, and we've all got weaker hamstrings than we should have. So if you want to be a good footballer, strengthen your hamstrings. That will be a thing that everyone in the Premier League is doing. And without strong hamstrings, you can tear them, have injuries. You won't be as good at football, and instead you'll have to become a professional poo inspector for a living. I don't think anyone is a professional poo inspector, so I hope no one was insulted by that. But if your job is to make a living as a professional poo inspector, then I'm sorry for laughing at your job. It's as good a job as any other. Now, what else are we going to do? Oh, the exercise for today. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Make little circles with your arms like this, okay? And the smaller the better. And start to feel how hard it is. Much harder than just holding your arms still. If you start to just gently make little circles with your hands, with your arms out straight to the side. And apart from the fact that this is a nice way of strengthening the muscles around your shoulder, it also tells you a lot about how complicated shoulder movements are. If you think of what has to happen for your arm to move from there to there, and then from there to there, and there to there, and there to there, all those are different muscles, and the muscles can't push, so they've all got to support it while they pull it and move it around. It's a very, very complicated bit of coordination. So it's a lovely one to I've almost knocked everything over. It's a lovely one to strengthen. Oh, goodness me. Sorry, the technology is getting on top of me. Okay, we're almost out of time. Professional poo inspecting has become easier since they introduced Vapu. I don't know what Vapu is, but I think it's a good joke. Aisling and Una, lovely to see you. I hope I pronounced... Is it Onya? Might be Onya. Una, Onya. I'm sorry for the bad pronunciation, but my full name is Van Hogen Hout-Tulliken, and I can't even pronounce that. So what hope have I got for anybody else's name? Evan, Saul and Sasha. That's really good. You're all brilliant. The final thing is a moment of calm and meditation. I'm going to talk you through it. Close your eyes. Feel your wrist for your pulse if you want to. It's nice to get a feeling of your heart beating. Close your eyes, and I want you to breathe in very slowly through your nose and count to 5 while you're breathing in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then breathe out so slowly you can count to 10 or more. See how slowly you can breathe out. As you're breathing out, think about the weight coming off your shoulders. Think about relaxing. Just think about the breath coming out of you. Feel your heart rate slow down a little bit. Don't forget to help your parents, grown-ups, with their dino chores. Look up. Oh no, someone's just said you have to eat your grasshopper. That was going to be the best bit about doing it without Chris. There you go. And if you've got your disgusting food, I'm sorry this will ruin the effect of the meditation, but there you go. I've got my grasshopper. There it is. There it is. In it goes. Goodbye, everybody. I hope the technology worked. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. You're all lovely. We love you. I'm going to try and turn all the cameras off. If I don't, I'll just be live for the rest of the day. Bye. Oh no, how do I do it?